Hey guys, this is Tiggy Maximus with Tiggy Maximus Talks on YouTube, episode 179. Let's call this part 1. Well, as you can see, I got that Joe Musgrove Padres basketball jersey giveaway they did on June 11th. Padres were playing the Oakland Athletics. Padres end up with a walk-off victory with a walk-off home run by Hisiakiola. Let's just call him Higgy. First batter at the bottom of the ninth after the Padres that gave up 2 runs to the Athletics on a 2-run homer. That tied the game from a 3-1 Padres lead to a 3-3 game. And, well, Padres last at bat, first batter, Hisioka, got a nice pitch, hit a home run, went to left field. It hit the side of the bricks that held up, I think, part of the seat-in on the second level. That was an amazing way to watch the Padres win. Got my buddy, Farmers Cup MVP Hung Tran. Good time. Got to see a renovated Gallagher Square. Beautiful renovation. They moved the Tony Gwynn statue on top of a platform which has a tunnel underneath, which used to be all grass before. And before, I think all you could see was part of the baseball field at Petco Park, and you can see the stage from Saquon. But now, there's a lot more space in front of the stage for Saquon. You can still see the ballpark, though, from wherever you are, but now there's a lot more things that looks very eye-appealing. They moved back the kids' baseball field that they like to do their playing fun, running around the bases, throwing baseballs and stuff, softballs. They moved that back like maybe 15 or so yards, 20 yards back, and they allow that on the platform where the Tony Gwynn statue got moved to, you can actually see some more TVs on that platform. So if you wanted to see a close-up of the ball game and you don't want to sit on the grass, well, you have a chance to be on that platform and watching a couple TVs there, and they might provide some drinks there too. They also have an area like a playground for the kids. It surrounds the platform alongside with that kids' baseball field. So a lot of great things about that brand new Gallagher Square out in the outreaches of outfield of Petco Park, the confines of Petco Park. So I gotta say, money well spent. Time for a change. Make sure that the Padres Petco Park is the number 1 ballpark in all of North America. So kudos to the Padres and the Petco Park for doing so. And of course, as you can see, the Joe Musgrove giveaway, some of the best giveaways that they have in all of North America, or just the Padres in general. They really outdid themselves. I think now the Padres are going to go to New York to play the New York Mets, and it's a weekend series, so I'm kind of curious of how the Padres are going to carry the momentum of sweeping the Oakland Athletics for their first sweep of the season. I think the Padres were one of the last teams to get a sweep on anybody. So, let's see. Oh, on this episode, I'm going to talk about 2 comedy shows. There was one show on June 7th. It was in Pacific Beach at the Turquoise Europa Cafe, produced and hosted by Ellis Lynn. She had a great lineup. She went up first. Oh, by the way, thank you guys for listening to the podcast on Spotify and YouTube, and following and subscribing, and also donate to the podcast if you haven't already. There is a link on my Spotify episodes which allows you to donate towards the podcast. Also, there is a link you can copy and paste on my YouTube episode, which takes you to the Spotify episodes, and any link that you click on there, it'll allow you to donate to the podcast. Anything's appreciated, guys. Keep on listening, keep on watching. Anywho, Ellis went first. She actually brought some of her coworkers with her. This is a good show. It did pretty well. It wasn't as good as the other show from, I want to say, maybe it was May 24th or May 17th, or that was the one that had Gordon Downs on the show. So this show on June 7th was good, but not as good as that show. With Gordon Downs and Mimi Harris and Josiah Moreno. I'm pretty sure it had Audrey on it and Taylor Spencer. So Ellis told some good jokes. Some of them did hit with the crowd. Some kind of went without much reactions, but I don't know if it sounded more like just venting. Maybe there was supposed to be a punchline. Maybe he's trying to keep working on it, but overall, crowd was warming up to her. Got some jokes. Some people, some half of the crowd was probably into some of the jokes. And some other ones, it might need some more seasoning, fine tuning. So I would say Ellis Lynn was a 7.5 out of 10. Next we have Chuck Foster. Great comedian. Kind of an older guy. Not too much older than me. Maybe about 10 years, give or take. Probably in his early 50s. He did have some interesting jokes. I think there was one where he talked about, I think it was hearing like these young women talk about like love and sex, and I'm guessing that he overheard it, and he talked about his experience. And then I think he had another joke before he ended. He compared doing stand-up comedy and sex. I guess you only really need like 5 minutes, and you can be really good at it for 3 to 5 minutes. But at least I guess you could say that people go home laughing after a stand-up comedy, but you're not laughing so much after sex, after 3 to 5 minutes. I'm probably guessing. Or he might say there's similarities where you feel great after 3 to 5 minutes doing either one, but something about that. It got people laughing because I'm guessing that the comparisons are actually pretty true. Chuck, I would say, was a 8.1 out of 10. So next, I believe we had Lauren Resnick. I think she said that she just got back into comedy again. She did talk about how dating her boyfriend can be very complicated because he has like diabetes, so he has to wear like some monitoring. Sometimes it kind of gets in the way because she wants to be intimate, but then can't raise up certain blood levels. So every single time someone's beeper or cell phone goes off, then it just reminds her of her boyfriend and his pager. So Lauren, I think she did pretty well. Crowd liked her for quite a few things. I would say she was about an 8.3 out of 10 for the comedy. Next we have Audrey Stewart. Um, I actually got to sit down right next to her. I talked to her for a little bit when she went up. She had a few great jokes. Crowd liked it a lot. Um, I think she did kind of reference OnlyFans, quite possibly, because the paintings in the background. She did talk about how an old man was trying to, um, I guess, either flirt or catcall her. Um, and then I guess she mentioned something about, she would be a 10 in the 1920s. And that got me thinking, perhaps that might have been the case. And um, she used the voice of an old man, like, are you gonna dance for me? Um, uh, I think it was like, are you gonna dance for me for a penny, or dance for me for a picture, something like that. And Audrey then replied in a funny way. Um, she was like straight up telling the old man, no. Um, and she said something afterwards. So that was probably her best bit that I can remember, other than the OnlyFans thing. And overall, she did pretty well. I would say that Audrey did really well with the crowd. Honestly, with like listening to the crowd and stuff, like most of the stuff that she says, like for me, I got most of it, and a lot of times the crowd was laughing for most of the stuff that she was saying. So, um, and I like the fact that has her on her show almost every time. So, almost every single time, for sure that people will always enjoy Audrey's set. I would say Audrey was 8 point. She was an 8.5 out of 10. Next we have Taylor Spencer. She did get quite a few laughs. Talked about her pronouns. She did kind of talk about that whole thing with uh, not knowing what an orgasm was, and she had to, I guess, kind of act like she was gonna have one on stage, and she didn't know, and then I guess she got pulled aside for not doing it correctly or not knowing. But so when she kind of acts out her bit, it is pretty funny. I would say odd. I would say Taylor Spencer was I would say she was an 8.4 out of 10. Next we have Grant Strafgas. Go Be Great Today is his IG handle, I believe. I think he had he had some funny bits, but it just kind of took a while for the crowd to catch on, and I think the crowd ended up being very chill for his set. Um, he did have some really smart jokes, but I think at this point in time, I probably got it, but then I don't know, the vibe just kind of died down for when he went up. So I would say Grant was probably let's say 6.8 out of 10. Next up we have Mimi Harris. I would say about maybe just about half of the stuff that she was saying on stage. Probably got some good laughs. She did talk about DoorDash and Cox, talking about millennials, talking about dating, and it was kind of like a lot of hit or misses with her comedy. For sure, she did get quite a few laughs while on stage, and I can definitely say that it wasn't like the entire room laughing, but I would say like at most maybe half the room was laughing for like maybe between 25%, half of the stuff that she was saying. So not too bad. Um, of course, with more practice, it can only get better. Um, I would say that Mimi Harris was let's say 7.7 out of 10 for a comedy. And then last person to go up, Michael Red. He closed out the show. Um, he had some really good bits from what I can tell, and he started off kind of strong for the first half of his set, but then it kind of died down in the second half of his set, and it got a little more chilled as it got to a close. Um, I would say, it might have been his best work in like a while, and um, some of it he talked about. I want to say dating. There was also something mentioned about like females would friend zone him, and then there was a distant laugh somewhere in the Turquoise Europa Cafe, and because the distant laugh happened like 2-3 seconds after he said his joke about the friend zone, and then everybody started laughing because of the distant laugh. So um, so I would say that was probably funny, not directly of what Michael said, but it was kind of indirectly of what he said, and what kind of made it a really funny part. It might have been the funniest part of this whole set, when it wasn't intended to get a big laugh, like, until somebody laughed on delay and everybody else laughed after, because it was funny that there was a delayed laugh. So I would say Michael was I would say 8 out of 10. So there was a show I went to up in LA, Pasadena. It is called D's Nuts, and it's up in the Ice House, the oldest comedy club in North America, apparently, called the Ice House in Pasadena. I'm glad I got to have the honor of going to this, because I was there to see Maya Spillman. I wanted to really see her full set for the first time, and not just what I see on YouTube or Instagram. I wanted to see like a full set from the beginning to end. So this time I was not late. I actually made it on time. So I found out that the show is run by Vargas Mason. First time seeing the guy and performing. He was in the middle of the lineup. There was a whole bunch of people that came up. I believe that the host, her name was Sally. I don't know her last name though. So when I walked in, I think I came in during the middle of Jess Porter's set. She busted out her belly during her set so that everybody can see it, and I was just like, okay, she's pulling out her tummy in front of everybody in the room, especially the front row. It just got funny because of the whole pulling out your tummy for everyone to see. So I would say she did really well with the crowd, and I guess she's gonna be an up and coming comic, either in the LA scene or wherever she goes. And she's really intense, from what I can tell. I would say 8.5 out of 10 she was. Next was D'Angelo Himes. First time seeing the guy, I believe. Apparently he kind of owned up the fact that he has a gap in his teeth in his mouth, and he teaches substitute like I don't know, first grade, kindergarten, or something like that. So, no, he said he does preschool. Yeah, he teaches preschool, and so I guess like maybe a kid made fun of his gap teeth, and he had like a great comeback. for the kid. And of course, apparently, I guess one of the main teachers or principals was right behind D'Angelo Himes. But um, yeah, um, I think he said something about the kid's mom or something. So um, he was really funny though. I can't wait to see him more actually, because if I see his flyers, I might actually go up and see him wherever he's at between LA and San Diego. So I would say D'Angelo Himes, let's say 8.7 out of 10. Next up, I believe her name was Cersei. Not sure how to spell it. There's two spellings I've seen. One from how they spelled it in, I think it's like Gladiator. Um, and the other one, Cersei, I think it's the name I remembered from Game of Thrones. Um, it's either 300 starts with an X, but in Game of Thrones, I think it starts with the letter C. She did kind of do this thing where she just kind of shows off her shoulders while talking, then talk about Hunter Biden. Um, and it did, I think it did well for the most, for most of her set, but then it kind of like got more chilled, and when it got to like politics, I think it might have died down just a little bit. So I would say she was, probably was an 8 out of 10. Um, Next up, this lady I've seen before at the Pretty Funny Women with Lisa Sunstead at the La Jolla Comedy Store. Ashley Harper. Um, she likes to talk about how she doesn't sing, and everybody assumes that she does. I did even the clap along. But overall, Ashley was pretty funny and pretty loud actually, and she talked about her grandmother with, I guess it was like dementia. So I guess with just being loud and just being funny, like it goes well together for her. I would say Ashley was a 8.6 out of 10. Next, I believe his name was Jordan Bigler, and he did get quite an ovation when he went up there. Um, he did talk about his girlfriend, I think, on stage. Um, Guy was funny for about maybe half of the things he was saying. I forget how much time they all get. It might have been like between 8 to 10 minutes or something, 8 to 12 minutes. So, and I remember he wore like a really bright pink shirt. I think I don't know if it had like flamingos or something. Um, but yeah, and I think his girlfriend was in the crowd too. I actually saw him walk out with his girlfriend after I had pictures with Maya. I would say Jordan was probably an 8.4 out of 10. Next, we have Vargas Mason. Guy was super funny. Crowd liked him a lot. I really enjoyed his set. I want to say he mentioned something about marriage, or he might have been in like a mixed race relationship. So I would say that was pretty funny. I'm trying to remember if he said something about being with an Asian wife or Asian girlfriend, or he had Asian food because he dated someone Asian. So it might have been him. But I would say Vargas 8.8 out of 10. Then we got Maya Spillman. I probably got to see her whole set. She talked about like I guess big dick, big cocks, and um, it it can be. I would say it got some big laughs because she kind of acted out the whole when she did like big cocks before, but then like now when she's older, it just hurts, and then she acts it out, so it makes it funny because she acts it out. So we know exactly what she means. I like that she talked about how pretty pretty women can't be funny, and then said something about her husband. Well, you're not pretty, to emphasize that she's funny, but then she replies, you know, if I was prettier, you would be richer. Um, I think that's how it goes. But it got me laughing because, um, you know, when you kind of twist it to make it funny, puts a smile on my face. I would say from how I remember the crowd, they probably had some big laughs or maybe a couple of her jokes, but then some other ones, it probably was about no more than half or maybe quarter of the room. Um, I would say she did pretty well, and she's has a bright future ahead of her in comedy. So, um, Maya Spillman, let's say she's a 8.3 out of 10. Um, Next, I think there's a guy by the name Mark Lloyd. Um, I I don't remember much about Mark Lloyd, but I think he did all right. Um, he wasn't one of the best of the night though, but I would say just ovation wise, because I don't remember the material, so nothing about his could stand out. I would say he was probably an 8 out of 10. Next, we have Molly Chapman. I guess she's a regular at the D's Nuts, and she got quite a few big ovations of laughter. Um, did some crowd work, and um, she has some really funny jokes. I enjoy seeing her, and I think I got a like from her too, for my comment. So, um, or because I posted, she kind of liked my post of of the night. Um, Again, when I go up to LA, if I see some of these names, I might actually just kind of go to their show and introduce myself. So, um, I would say Molly Chapman, pretty funny gal. I'm probably gonna say she was an 8.7 out of 10. Next, I believe we had Matt Mantel. I think he did pretty well, actually. Um, One of the funniest guys of the night, along with Vargas and D'Angelo. Um, I want to say Matt was probably an 8.7 out of 10. And then we got Jeanette Riz. Um, she was pretty funny. Um, I think she talked about being either a doctor or an HR specialist or something like that. Um, uh, yeah, I think she was an HR lady, and I think she said something about you can't say the word suck my cock or suck a cock, and I guess she brought up the fact that he corrected her by saying I didn't say suck my cock, I said suck a cock. You know, there's a difference, but she just replied like, you know, same thing. You can't say the word cocks like that or suck my anything at work. So that was pretty funny. I'm glad I got to see her. Crowd liked her a lot. I would say she was easily an 8.8 out of 10. And then the last one of the night, I guess this lady was the one who introduced and greeted everybody when they first got into the room. Julie LaFana. I guess she did some commercials, but I guess nobody watched her commercials, and I guess she brought it up. Like, yeah, you guys never saw my commercials, even though that's how she was introduced by Sally. But she talked about what she's been into, I guess, and I guess dating and stuff, and how hard it is to date. And overall, she was super funny. I liked her set. Kind of liked her. I would say she was 8.8 out of 10. So that's it for the first half of this episode, guys. I hope you listen to the second half. I'll talk more about comedy, food, and sports. There, guys. Booyaka!